elevated plank, or sorry, for plank from the knees, I'm going to use a foam roller. It's just going to help me keep honest as a half a foam roller. I'm doing this on the turf, but you certainly do it on the mats for your comfort on your elbows and your knees. What we're going to do is we're going to get into our plank position. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to drop down to the elbows. Make sure my button is not on this. And then what you're going to do from here, all the principles of the quad plank apply. So when I'm tuck the tailbone, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the foam roller with my low back. Once I feel the foam roller on my low back, I'm going to make sure that my chest is elevated. What I'm trying to do right now is get as many points of contact on this foam roller as possible. So I've got my tailbone tucked, I've got my chest elevated, and really the only part that's probably not going to be on the foam roller is the spot in between the top of my shoulder blades and the base of my head. So I want the base of my head because what I'm trying to do is make sure I'm not cocking my head up as I do this exercise. So you want the top of the foam roller at the base of the head. You want to go down the tailbone. You're getting into the quad plank position, or sorry, the kneeling plank position from here, all like the quad plank. So I'm going to tuck my tailbone under, get my low back flat. I'm going to start to extend my chest, so that way I've got as much of the foam roller against my spine as possible, and then I'm holding this position, keeping those points of contact on that. And when I feel like I lose something, then that's a time to come out and break before going again. So the foam roller just gives you some really good feedback. Not to say you need it forever, but at this point, as you're learning a good quality plank, it's really going to help give you a feel for what you're trying to feel in that plank position. You're going to start with something light. You can obviously go higher as you get the form down, but right now it's most important that you get a good spinal alignment as you're doing your pendulum squats. You're going to start with the bells pressed overhead. Now from this overhead position, assume you're standing in neutral position, so belly button, or sorry, hips back, tailbone tucked, belly button should already be pulled in, chest should already be up from this position. Now the most important thing is don't let your chest collapse when you drop into the squat. So what I mean by that is a chest collapse would be something like this, where we come down and our upper back starts to round as we come back into this position. You want to keep that belly button in and that chest pulled up, so that way you have good trunk engagement to get the bells back up, and you're not trying to use muscles that don't really need to be used to do this pendulum squat. So belly button's pulled in, chest is up all the way through the motion, and then we're coming back up. So as you drop your hips down, you're going to time the bells so that you're using your hip extension to assist with the return to the overhead position. So the arms are going to drop. I'm going to drop into my squat, and then I'm going to explode out of the top in order to get the bells back up. So in this overhead position, you're fighting this extension. We don't want to go back into this extension position. We're going to stop, belly button pulled in, using your core muscles as the brake. We're going to drop into the squat. We're going to be a little bit patient on the backswing. So backswing is going to happen, and as the bells come back forward is when you're going to stand up out of your squat in order to return back to the standing position. Breath in on the down, breathe out on the up. Here. Okay, again, remember, don't let the upper back round and the shoulders protract. You want to keep belly button in, chest up, and then as the bells swing back forward is when I'm going to stand up. And the FMT overhead squat, you're going to start with the band looped around the shoulders, about chest height at the attachment point. You're going to come out, your feet are going to be about shoulder width apart, toes slightly turned out. We're going to have our arms up overhead as if we're going to do an overhead squat. You're going to try to keep your chest extended, belly button in as you drop into this squat position. As you drop down, you go to a depth you feel like you're comfortable with, and then you're going to drop back, or you're going to stand back up out of that squat. When you're doing these FMT overhead squats, you're going to feel a lot going on in your trunk muscles as well as those muscles of the upper back. As you drop into the squat, those muscles are going to be forced to extend. Now, if you find that exercise to be a little bit on the easy side, you can move the straps to your elbows. Now we have to really work to pull our shoulders back into position against the resistance of the band. We're going to drop down into that squat position. Everything's going to have to work a little bit harder from the elbow position. To make this a little bit harder, we would go to the arms overhand position. We're pulling back here again, keeping those arms aligned back over our shoulders as we drop down into the squat position and stand back up. Start with the easiest. You can progress up as you go. All the mechanics of the squat apply. Weight in the heels, sitting the hips back, spine stays straight, breathing in on the way down, exhaling out on the way up. So for this exercise, you'll be kneeling, feet on the wall, knees on the pad here. The whole point of this is what we're going to do before we initiate a fall out is you're going to tuck your tailbone under, pull the belly button in, lift the chest up just like we do our stand in a neutral position. And then from there, the goal is to hinge your body out only so far as you can keep your hips extended. As soon as you feel any kind of shift or relaxation of the trunk, that is your cue to come on back to the wall. So tailbone goes tucked, belly button's pulled in. You're holding a good trunk position. You're just reaching your hips. Don't worry about your arms so much. Your arms are going to kind of go, but you're reaching your hips out as far as you can, keeping that tailbone tucked. And then when you get to the point you can't go any further, come back in, take a break, and go out again. So make sure that you're paying attention to the small of your back. We don't want to get into this position where we just have a big arch in our back. We want to keep that tailbone tucked under, glutes engaged, core engaged, and then we're coming out as far as we can keep that tailbone tucked, and then coming back to the wall to take a break.